Hi guys, my name is Katerina and welcome to my channel and welcome to another episode of Weekend Drawing Podcast. So today we're still going to be working with lines and we're going to be working on another scene. So in the last video you saw how I was starting to work in line and how I was explaining to you this new process of mine that I have when I'm creating lines now first and writing then. I don't know how long it's going to last. For now it's serving me really well. So in this episode I have completely another scene that I'm working on. So the scene that I was working last week, well, as you know, I'm recording like with the podcast, this thing I'm posting on, I'm basically sharing with you what I drew on the weekend, but obviously I draw all week and there will be gaps, so it's not we're gonna pick up where we left off. Stuff been happening and I've been drawing other things, and I finished the scene that I was working on last weekend, and now I'm working on another scene that is actually longer and actually has way more plot substance to it. It's pretty much very, very plot heavy scene. That's basically what's been happening. And I remember how I said that I really like to get my lines out first and before I finish the previous chapter, so that I kind of don't make a pause during the process of me actually painting. So ironically, because I was postponing doing lines, like usually I would do lines a little bit, well, actually usually before I would do the script, and then I would just scatter the script across the pages, and then I would do a little bit of lines. So it was like some bits here, some bits there process. But in this case, I actually dedicated several days to just outlining those chapters. So I actually did take a break from me actually painting. So it looks like my system is not working very well. In any regard, I really enjoy doing these lines like this time. And as you can see, the way I'm working with my lines, at least currently, in my current process. So I just have one Photoshop document and I have base layer that is white. And then I have my lines, what I'm drawing on another layer. And then as soon as I'm finishing the page, I just gonna be saving the file that I have, and then I'm gonna be saving as, and they're gonna be saving as a new page, and I will be delete the layer that I just drew on and create another new layer and draw on it. So basically it's just me working on the same document and just drawing again and again, but just creating more layers and deleting, saving as. So yeah, this is basically my idea, but this is like on the technical, not so technical side. But overall, the point of this particular scene, so what the scene is about. So basically our main character, she is basically thrown in this fantasy world. Like, she is excited to be thrown into this fantasy world, but she arrives at it at a disadvantage because she's an outsider, and as she comes in, nobody actually interested in want to get her in their village, get her in their city. Everybody's like, hey, you're kind of weird, you dress weird, you act weird, you speak weird, very sketch, get the hell out of here. And she basically has to travel to a city that is bigger, that is, not really afraid of weirdos getting inside of the walls. So, but as she's traveling there, she's encountering a lot of negative stuff that is currently happening in the province. And there is a lot of negative stuff that is happening. So the province is infested with some sort of monsters. I call them firstborns. It's not like just monsters. There's a lot of things that go on with them, like lore-wise, plot-wise, blah, blah, but it's just gonna be too much to get into right now. But yeah, so, and she happens to stumble upon this older lady that also traveling through this lands, through this kind of dangerous situation. And the older lady is kind of helping Tsukai, like Tsukai is the main character's name a little bit, because Tsukai was compelled, when Tsukai saw a monster, Tsukai was compelled to do something kind of to protect her, because Tsukai doesn't understand how strong those monsters are yet. She's a little bit naive, and but she's like, I'm gonna protect everybody, I'm gonna do good things. I mean, Canadians, right? And this older lady kind of helps her a little bit in return. So she kind of driving her, like giving her a ride and like helping her to get to another city or wherever they will encounter on their way. So she kind of like takes her with her, and they're traveling. And as they're traveling, I kind of mentioned in episode 2, I think the dynamic that they have between the two is that Tsukai well, Tsukai, when she just arrived to Solana, the first thing she said is like, "Ooh, I'm from another reality. I'm like from human world. Duh, check this out." Because like she didn't think about it like the first thing to say, and yeah, she should have thought about it, because imagine somebody in real world, like our world, comes to you and says, "I'm from another reality," and well, in our world we don't think it's real, but in their world they know other realities exist, but it's also very rare to come from them. It's just not something that happens. And as she says it, people are like super sketched out and super suspicious and think it's really odd. So this time with this older lady, she's trying not to do this, and she is not specifically saying that she's from another reality, but obviously she's wearing like Toronto Raptors hoodie, she's wearing jeans, she looks different ethnically in comparison to people around her. And obviously another fault in the room is that she absolutely has no idea how magic works, how things work overall in this world. She's oblivious to anything, including politics and geography and overall. So she's just kind of playing along with this older lady, and kind of older lady assumes that she's just not from Northern Province. And in my story, provinces, they're pretty much like countries. They have their own culture, and some provinces like just not in contact with other provinces. They have their own issues, rivalries, whatever. So it's possible that you might just, especially Northern and Western province, they have their own stuff going on. So people who, for example, will be in power in Northern province, like administrative people, they will know how Westerners dress, what they do. They have like their culture just because they interact with them for negotiations and all of the political scheming and whatnot. But normal people just from normal village, they don't really know how Western looks like. Like they know some things, but they don't know much of that traditions and customs and whatnot. So older lady just assumes that Sakai is from Western province. Like she doesn't go as far to be like, oh, you're from another reality, you must be that. She just assumes she's not from the north. And Sakai's kind of playing along with this. Like this is in the previous chapter, that the one that I'm drawing out, Sakai's kind of like, yeah, I guess, yeah, sure. She's not like specifically saying no, but she's kind of playing along. So she's implying that she kind of is from there. So that's the whole thing. So, so as they travel right now, what is happening is that Sakai is kind of pretending that she is from this reality, but just from another province. And as they travel, they kind of still in very dangerous situation, because those monsters, firstborns, they're still around. And there is one that is currently chasing them and trying to attack them. Not like just trying. He's attacking them. He's shooting arrows at them. And basically, older lady instructs Sakai to protect them from using the wand, using the magical tool that helps you use magic. And Sakai is kind of like struggling by doing the task while having no idea how to use magic whatsoever, and trying not to ruin her persona of being a Westerner and not just somebody from completely different reality. So this is kind of what is happening in this scene. On top of this is just the main, conflict. I guess the main conflict is this thing that they're trying to save their lives from a monster that is chasing them and shooting arrows at them. But it's another kind of interpersonal conflict, is that the lady is assuming that Sakai would know like the basic ways how the magic works, because that should be, the same across the provinces. But it seems like Sakai doesn't know even that. But then Sakai also tries to pretend. But at the same time, when shit really hits the fan and stuff becomes really dangerous, she's like, I don't know how to do it. Because at some point you just, whatever, she can assume whatever she wants from you, but I'm not dying today. But yeah, so at the same time she's figuring out the magic as well, because it's a lot of things happen in the first part of the scene. So, but there's more that this scene has. So as Sakai kind of figuring out how this magical thing works, she's not really figuring out it yet. She has started to have an idea how it works. So yeah, as I basically mentioned prior, is that I don't really want to have just one magic system. I want to have like abnormal amount of different magic system and magic logics and magic types and overall for my story, just because I find that magic has to be, if it's like such prevalent part of the world, it can be just one thing that somebody can do. It's like there's a difference, like if what we call science in our world. If science would be just ability of strong people to lift heavy objects, and just some chosen ones can do it, or you can learn it. I just feel like in fantasy world, at least like in mine, magic is equivalent to science in our world, which means it's just the logic of how the world is set up and how the world works. And this is a system of understanding, so not one, it's like a several systems of understanding how the world works and using this knowledge to make it things work for you, basically. So it's got to be a lot of different systems, a lot of different studies, a lot of different styles, schools of things, like what you can do, basically how you interact with the world, knowing the world's rules. So this is kind of how I think about the magic. So it's a guy just starting to realize how some of the magic works, one of the most like main ones. So she just starting to realize that. And I didn't want it to be anything like, so this, listen kids, you're gonna do this and this and you're gonna make magic work. I don't want to do anything like this. I want to kind of like her realize it herself slowly, and while understanding how it's very hard to realize that. So, but this is just one thing that happens in the scene. Another thing that is happening in the scene is that, well, throughout chapters at this point, like as Sakai appears on Silana, she started to have weird visions. And in the meantime, like before, so originally she thinks they are actually dreams. So when she dreams, so she falls asleep, she sees very specific things in her dreams. And I think I mentioned in the previous podcast or the one before it that she doesn't think much of it, just because she thinks, well, it's just a dream, right? You can see anything in your dream. Or sometimes dreams are kind of connected to what she saw or thought the day prior. And she sees this in the dream. She actually sees visions, and kind of like her thinking different thoughts kind of makes her see different things. But she thinks it's just dreams. So, and in this chapter, what also happens, she has this vision without sleeping. So basically, she has something like this without actually falling asleep. So now it's really hard to ignore and realize, oh, I'm just imagining things. She actually has this vision just like while she's awake. So, and the way her visions are set up, so how she starts realizing that something is up, she seemingly seeing the past of Silana. She seemingly seems to observe some weird things from the past, like way, way far ago. And there seem to be some maybe logic to it. Some things trigger her, these visions for her, and some seems to have no logic at all. So she at this point she sees this huge statue that is very ancient. And so as they're traveling through certain mountains, and there is a statue of this lady kind of like carved into a mountain, and you can see me trying to draw it and struggling a little bit because I don't know, I wanted to see more epic, but actually you see I gotta redraw this panel because I'm drawing it and I'm realizing as if I'm drawing this statue kind of from the camera facing this statue kind of in the middle, as if we are the size of the statue too, and looking at it doesn't look as epic. So I needed to make this statue look epic and make it look appropriate size. So I decided to redraw it. Later you will see from looking up at her, like, so we're really below the statue and I'm emphasizing the scale. But at least while I'm drawing the statue now, I'm just trying to just figure out how to make make it look like, because I myself know about the statue that it's a statue of a woman. It's a Kandu woman, which means like she has this white hair and has like normal ears and no tail. And she's pointing the south direction. So basically where they're going, she's pointing there. And that's about it that I know. But I also wanted her to look kind of epic. But I also wanted the statue to look kind of eerie, and I also wanted not make it look like those statues in the Lord of the Rings. I think in the Fellowships of the Ring, in the very first movie, in the end, they have like those two statues that are pointing the horizon where the waterfall is. So yeah, I didn't want it to be that, even though the concept is so similar. It would be very challenging to make it not to be that. So so now I figured out how the statue should look like. At least I'm like, okay, she's standing kind of like this, pointing kind of like this, and then you're gonna see me you actually literally see me struggling, realizing that something is not working here, even though. So this is kind of always the troubling part when you're drawing comic, because in the comic, it's not just a drawing. It's not about just drawing something nice. It's about drawing something that actually serves the purpose of the comic and the story. So sometimes you would draw something and it looked nice and you're happy with how it looks like, but it doesn't serve the story. And that's why it has to be cut out, which is very unfortunate when you're looking at the drawing that you've done that you really like. So yeah, so now I decided to, I would come back to the statue and Tsukai's visions. I remember. I didn't completely derail, but basically just I wanted to explain what I'm doing and I'm like what's going on the screen. So now I realize, okay, I gotta redraw this. So, and to redraw this, I decided to really just look up on the statue, so bring the camera really, really low, and actually the way I'm bringing the camera now, it's kind of almost below the ground, and make the statue look humongous this way. So now I'm becoming more happy with what is happening, because now the statue starts look like it has the effect that I wanted the statue to have, because before it was like, yeah, it looks like just the girl chilling. It doesn't read, it didn't read like it's a huge statue standing between the mountains and all of that. So now it's more like it. I realized I got it, so now I'm starting drawing the statue in detail, so I'm committing to this. But basically, so what happens, Tsukai sees the statue, and this statue triggers Tsukai to have this vision, and the way Tsukai sees the visions, if they're connected to someone, so it's not like just vision. She's never just, floating around the sea, observing it. She is seeing something through the eyes of somebody who was there. So if she sees a vision, she embodies somebody who saw it many years ago, basically. So her previous vision, she saw herself killing a character, and she was the one doing the killing, even though and that's why this dream was very confusing to her. But that's basically because she was looking at it through the eyes of this person who did it. And then now she sees the statue of the woman, and what is important about the statue is just, it's pointing south, and at the same time it has scars across her face, and she's missing an eye basically because of those scars. So as Tsukai looking at the statue, she is starting to have a vision of her, like how she sees the vision is that her own face is getting slashed by very kind of ancient looking Kondra woman, like Kondra warrior. And again, the way Tsukai sees the vision is that she herself is getting injured. So, and that's why also those visions are really disorienting, especially this one that she sees in real time. She's looking at the statue and she sees herself and experiences herself getting this injury that the statue has, the woman that the statue depicts has. Yeah, that's why those things are very disoriented. But there is also a logic to these visions that she didn't figure out yet, but I kind of want to sparkle a little bit of more of information as I'm creating it. So at this point, we already know that she seems to have weird dreams. Now we have information. Her dreams are actually not really dreams. Those dreams seems to be actual visions. And also it seems like she sees history. Because she looks at this statue of the woman that clearly was someone before, and she sees fragments of this person being alive, not the statue. So it's kind of like my way to give information to the reader as well, and show that Tsukai starting to piece things together and started to figure out what is going on. So that's another part of this chapter that I have to bring in, and it's always it's kind of difficult because I obviously want to nobody get confused when reading my comic, reading my story, but I also want to make sure I'm putting as much information as possible without it feeling like absolute hard thing to read. I want certain things, it's the way main plot, you really focus on the main plot and you put tension on this plot, but then there's a lot of other things that you want to communicate, and you want to communicate them almost in this weird nonchalant way. It's gonna character look this, so a tree, so you are kind of introduce the certain tree into your story, so you're telling your readers certain elements of the world without kind of like telling them without plot stress and plot pressure, like the way they're running away from those firstborns monsters. So yeah, so this is one of those things that is important to tell about the world, about Tsukai's character, about potentially the magic that she has and who is she, what's the deal with her. But I kind of also sandwich it between important plot points during something that is very stressful, like those monsters chasing them. So I don't know. I'm still like, even though like I'm making this YouTube channel and I'm trying to share everything I learned and everything I know, I still sometimes not sure if what I'm doing actually is working. So I hope people are not gonna get confused. But yeah, I just sometimes I feel like with comic, which is what is cool, is that with visual information, you can get away with giving a lot of information without it feeling like you're giving a lot of information. So the whole scene where Tsukai sees this statue feels like this is something familiar, and it tickles her kind of brain. She's like, there something about the statue, and then she sees a vision. All of this is, I think, 3 to 4 pages, and it happening during like a little bit of a lull during this monster attacking them. So it's always kind of like a break from a plot point, but also I'm communicating a lot of information about the statue, about Tsukai's magic, about the fact that the vision that she sees, it also has like just one page of the vision itself, but we kind of get a glimpse of very ancient culture of Kondra and a very ancient culture of Silana. And Silana's history was very, very bloody, and it's very important to know the history, what was happening in Silana maybe like 2,000 years ago or something like this, because it has a lot to do with the main conflict of the story. It's not like this conflict is coming back in. It's like the solution to that problem 2,000 years ago now might be flawed. So I feel like in the comic thing, this thing works. In the novel, it would not work as easily, because you have to always tell, like, even though people say show don't tell, it's important thing for writing, which is true. I prefer to call it text versus context, because technically in the novel you still telling, everything is telling. So it's like the question is how to deliver important information through the direct text or the context. So I think in the novel it's very hard to communicate this much information at once. And actually, this page that I'm drawing, I'm actually sketching out. I chose to redraw some of it. It's so basically what you see now, some of those pages I actually changed, like some of those lines. So I did passes on, I do usually passes on my lines. So I do the first pass, and this time I'm doing it like in the previous video. I'm telling you how it's the first time me doing the pass without the text itself. But I still do several passes on my lines, because as I do first pass, that is actually about like what happens, what is the like raw plot, like the main idea of what's happening. But then I go through it again several times and making sure everything flows well. And this page is actually an example of the page that I changed completely, because also, as you can see, like when you're putting stuff on the panels and as you're deciding what is going to be on which panel, another thing that I feel is very important is to show which panel is important, which panel tells the most important part of the story. So this is the panel you want to reinforce. You want to reinforce the panel where the character reacts. You want to enforce and highlight the panel where we see the scenery, what is important currently, the scenery or character's reaction, or if were they sitting, what did they do, what they grabbed, like I don't know. So this stuff is important, and I think I rearranged for this. So I see the first panel. I think the earlier you see, kind of I'm drawing the first one. It's kind of like those speed lines. You can see something. You kind of see like the weapon that this woman using to slash the face of the woman whose memories Tsukai's seen. And second one is like Tsukai like having her face sliced up. Obviously it's not Tsukai's who is having it down to, but Tsukai sees us through the perspective of this woman. So this is how I'm trying to communicate it. Like we see Tsukai experiencing this. Then another panel, this woman looking down at her. And then another panel is like this open space, like arena where this is happening, and I am redrawing it. So I decided to reorganize it later on, because I decided that the most important situation is not just this woman glancing at the guy, but also the fact that what she's doing after she, kind of cut her face, what is she doing after. And I also decided that the guy's reaction is very important. Like the fact that, like, see, I'm struggling with this panel. It's usually easy to say. So now I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's not like a speed lines and the weapon. Maybe I'm showing that this contra woman did it with her claws. So I'm drawing her legs on the right and her claws. Then it's always, when I'm rewatching, it's always easy to tell when I'm not sure about certain panel, because I'm not drawing them fully. It's like I know I will not be committing to them. But yeah, so I think I gave up on that one. But later on, I will change it and I make the guy's reaction the most important part. And so the panel will be, it's like the guy's reaction as her face is being slashed, and this is the main panel. And then another panel is this woman kind of stepping on her face. And then we see the rest of the panels, like this contra woman talking, and then arena where it's happening. So yeah, you can see, like, I wasn't sure about it. Yeah, it's actually funny. Like now I'm rewatching, I can see how the lines is just appearing like weird blobs, but I'm not sure about what I'm doing with them. So now I'm drawing Tsukai kind of standing up, so she's still kind of seeing the vision, and in the vision she's trying to stand up while her face is bleeding and whatnot. So yeah, now I think this image doesn't make it to the final cut either. It's actually also funny. Actually, in the end for this particular scene, there was a lot of kind of direction I was trying, and then I actually created a page where I was saving kind of all the drawings that I really liked, but decided not to use, and I'm gonna post like some of the sketches on DeviantArt. So yeah, so this is another version that I'm thinking to approach it. So I'm thinking, okay, so probably we're gonna need a shot where the guy is kind of screaming in pain, or kind of like in shock, that because her face is all sliced up and bleeding, and also because this woman on this, like the statue type of woman, that's the statue woman, she has no eye, because like this thing slashed like through her eye as well, and she kind of lost her eye as well. So the guy is kind of like in dismay, in shock, and like her face is bleeding, and so I'm thinking maybe this shot will work. Spoiler alert, it will not work, but I actually like this one. Another thing that you do a lot, and that I draw heads way too big. I don't know. I think it's coming from my old experience when I was drawing a lot of anime characters, because their heads just too big, and it's very hard. I need to always catch up myself and downsize the head size. Damn, it's so sad. It's actually not a bad drawing. I actually would like draw this one in color that I'm drawing right now. Oh man, did I save that one? This is not the one that I consciously saved on this page of like not used lines, but I wonder if I still have this layer somewhere. Yeah, see, like I'm coming back and I'm realizing, no, it doesn't work. So maybe this panel will be, we see Tsukai's hands as she's like leaning on the ground, and we see blood dripping, and we see her knees without seeing her face. Because like, and also like those tiny things that you decide how to approach the panel. What do you want to also not show? Because a lot of panels, like you either see characters' emotions so hard, like super highlighted, or you see characters like legs, hands, the way they react, the way they hold in towards things, and you don't show their face, which shows how they actually hiding their emotions from us, from the reader, and like makes us nervous. And actually now I'm starting to drawing, that's more like it. I decided I'm gonna transition from Tsukai's face from previous panel to Tsukai, and then the same size, the face of this woman kind of showed like they are, associate them together. So I'm making sure to draw them in the same size, basically, kind of like they're vibing, to communicate that they're vibing. There is certain connection there, and then I decided to draw a small panel in which the guy's face is getting sliced, and I decided, okay, maybe then I have big panel of slicing, but not yet. It's not still the final result, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna be finishing this one in this particular session. I'm actually curious. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm thinking, okay, maybe that how I'm gonna approach it, and then I'm showing Sakai kind of like struggling on the ground and trying to rise and, you know, kind of get back. But it's still not yet. Something was not clicking for me. But even though I really like drawing Sakai, kind of show how her body works and how she tries to stand up, because body language is really amazing stuff also to communicate all the things about the character. And, you know, it's pretty. Actually, don't remember. Did they leave that one in? Well, her trying to stand up. I really don't think so. Or maybe I did. I actually don't know. I think I might have. We shall see. I think we shall see very soon. Because it's the way of recording this is that I record one weekend, but I do voiceover next weekend after this, because I also want to have a certain break between this, because as I'm drawing, sometimes I have nothing to say, so I have to take a break, and then I know it more, a little bit of context of how I'm drawing. Yeah, so this is the page I was working like a couple seconds before, is the page before this one. So now that I changed the panels, now I can go ahead and actually I have to combine those panels, because already just draw Sakai like trying to stand up, so I cannot draw her standing up again. So, oh yeah, I like this panel actually. Oh, it's I know it's sketch, just again, as I said, like it's kind of shitty drawing at this point. It's not like pretty or anything, but as I would be drawing it in color, some panels are like, as I'm drawing them in lines, I'm looking, I'm thinking, oh damn, when I'm gonna be drawing them in color, I'm gonna have so much fun. And this is one of these panels, because Sakai is kind of looking up, like raising her head and looking at this woman, but half of her face is completely covered in blood, and like her face is kind of like in dismay, and but not in horror. She's obviously stressed about it, but she's not like scared of this woman. She's more like, what the hell is happening? But as she raises her head, like bloody half of her face is just dripping blood on the other side of her face. I thought it's gonna be cool visuals. I don't know. I'm very excited to draw it later on as we approach. Yeah, that's pretty funny. So basically, overall, like I have so much fun drawing this particular scene. I'm not sure. I actually don't think that for the next episode, I would have lines anymore. I think I'm completing them. Oh yeah, I brought her eyebrows down. So she's angry, she's in dismay, she's scared, but she's mad. That's why I like Sakai. She has this strength inside of her. Even like when bad things are happening, she has like this anger and this energy inside of her. She will stand up for herself. She totally will. So I really love her, this thing about her. So yeah, so I think that's actually, we're wrapping up this session at this point. I'm sorry if like 2 days my voiceover is a little rambly, but there's a lot of things going on, and because there is just session, they're like slices of my drawing process. It's not like my other videos where it has clear beginning and end. It's just continuation of things. So yeah, overall I'm really, really happy and enjoy. Definitely she's stepping on her face. Why not? Those ladies be really sassy. Oh my god, I like those ancient Condra. I'm really gonna enjoy drawing this one in the memory. Yeah, I decided I'm gonna go with this angle, which is like stepping on her face. But yeah, sorry if it was a little bit rambly, but I was just literally sharing what was going through my head as I was drawing it, to just gonna show this side of my drawing process. But that's it for this drawing session. I think we will be done, like that will be done with lines for chapter, which one? Oh my god, chapter 8. And I think for the next week, for the next episode, we will have more over actually me drawing just standardly with paint and with color. And I'm actually excited of a lot of painting videos that are coming. I did and just recorded video about how to draw emotions on the face, like part 2 with actually drawing them. Excited to share it with you. But this is it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for listening, and I hope you guys have a good day and good luck with your drawing process. So yeah, I hope you're having good time with your drawing. I hope you're having fun, and excited to see you in the next episode. So thanks so much guys for watching, and I see you in the next one.